Madison Cunningham has only just begun. At 25 years old, Cunningham has recently released her third record, and it's definitely a well-crafted work. She's a born-and-bred Californian songwriter, but that's only a part of her biography. There's so much more going on. Madison is also an excellent guitarist with a penchant for funky chords and interesting musical phrases. Even though internet sources lazily categorize her music as Americana or folk, any listener with open ears will hear that Madison's influences and creations challenge and oftentimes transcend those niches. Her latest album is titled Revealer, and Madison and I discuss just what's being revealed and who's doing the revealing. You'll find that this young lady is comfortable digging into some of her more uncomfortable experiences if it means she'll be rewarded with a new song. We also discuss her longtime producing and studio partnership with Tyler Chester, some studio tricks that led to some unique sounds, and where she hopes this musical road might lead her next. There's a reason that at her young age, Madison Cunningham has already been nominated for 2 Grammy Awards, and you're about to find out some of the reasons why. I'm really enjoying the new record. It's called Revealer. I like to think about titles with albums and stuff. Who's doing the revealing? What's being revealed with Revealer?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for whatever reason, titles are the hardest part of any record, which doesn't necessarily make sense. It's like you would think writing the songs would be the hardest part, but I always delineate so hard over titles at the end. And I think the through line for this record kind of starts with grief and then spirals from there. And I think grief is, it's an illuminating light that kind of casts over everything. And I think that's sort of what and who the revealer is. It's not a negative or positive sort of figure. It's just something that is casting light on what is true. So I would attribute that to grief.
It's interesting you mentioned, grief as being a light, and usually we don't think about those negative emotions as a light, but I guess they can be.
I mean, yeah, it's like there's no other way to, in my little experience with it, the person that I speak about through this record is the first close person that I ever lost. And I felt like what I was so surprised about was the combination of how dark and hopeless and sad it felt, while it was so beautiful and like bonding and I don't know, freeing in a way. It was this wild set of emotions that could like live in tandem with each other. And so yeah, I think it's negative and positive.
Just talking about influences, I can hear Radiohead, I hear Sheryl Crow, I hear Neil Finn, I hear Elliott Smith, Mike Viola, Suzanne Vega, Joni Mitchell. Listen to all those influences I picked out, I wrote down as I was listening. I usually don't come up with a list like that, but some of my favorite composers I just mentioned there, but I want to stress, I think you have a very unique voice. And it's funny, I just spoke last week with Juana Molina and noticed that you'd name-checked her as a reference, as an influence at one point. Can you talk a little bit about, your influences and other musicians that you like, that you grew up with?
I didn't grow up with much. I grew up in a pretty conservative household, and we just didn't listen to that much music. Like the first time I ever heard the Beatles was when I was 17 years old and graduating high school. And that was a very pivotal musical moment for me. But yeah, I mean, like, I would say age 16, 17 was sort of like the age of musical awakening. Like I was hipped to Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan and Jeff Buckley. And later on it would be Rufus Wainwright, probably like 5 years after that. But just people that kind of came into my life that I think gave me permission to be more of the artist that I really wanted to be. They were all reaching for things that were seemed to be things that no one else was reaching for. And I think that just made me realize it just made me not want to shy away from certain musical ideas that maybe I had that I was afraid to pursue, or I thought maybe was dumb or whatever. And obviously they just live on a whole other echelon of thinking and music making, and they're complete conduits of something greater, I think. And I wanted to make myself and my life and my music available to that. I mean, there's so many influences. Juana, of course, is one of them. Juana Molina. I think when I first heard her music, that was a whole other layer of like, this is unlike anything I've ever heard in my life.
Right.
And she's being completely and utterly true to her interests and what she loves. And that just has been an incredible model for me.
That's really cool. I only learned about her maybe a year ago. I didn't even know much about her. And I got that Segundo record, which I have back here somewhere. And I just went like, what is that? Where has this been all my life? And then I was talking to her, just like I said last week. And I was like, how exciting to speak with her. She just reissued this. It's an album called Musicación, 4.5. And it's really cool. You should check. It sounds like you've kind of heard about it or maybe checked it out.
Yeah, I have. I'm like her biggest fan. I really am. I'm not shy about that anymore.
Oh, that's so cool. Have you ever communicated with her?
Yeah, we talk actually, and she knows that I love her.
Great.
She's the best.
She is. She's really cool. I didn't finish editing that interview yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll probably come out either right before or right after you. So you'll be in good company.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Just back to your influences again, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but is there maybe a song, that you really love or that kind of encapsulates not necessarily a song of your own, but maybe a song from someone that you really admire that resonates with you throughout, the time and the years, just a song you love?
I think, of course, I'm blanking on the exact name, but I think it's called Pulaski Day by Sufjan Stevens. That song was the first song I had ever heard that explicitly talked about grief in this way that was just like, it just wrecked me. It blew my mind. And also I was able to draw it back to my life in so many ways. And, at that point I hadn't lost anyone, but it was just crazy that he was able to make his experience so accessible to everybody else. And like that whole record, Come On and Feel the Illinois, that is like my top record of all time, I think. And it really helped me through making this record, because every time I felt lost or felt like the heart of the music was getting lost in translation, I would just go back to that record as a reference, because it's just completely translucent and free and honest. And it makes no apologies in doing that. And that's what I wanted this to feel like. And I wanted it to, create a very accurate portrait of the person that I was at the time and person that I am. And, comes with a lot of ugliness, I have to say.
Oh yeah. Well, I love that record too. I'm a big fan of his, and that's cool. We'll stick that song in right here on the radio.
Yes, please do.
Your songs are very carefully and intricately written and constructed, at least to me. What does your writing process look like? How do you sort of do this?
I always tell people when asked this, it's kind of a mess. Like I'm the most unorganized person that I know. So I use just kind of anything that I can get my hands on to get ideas out. I do what I call word vomiting at first, because the music always comes out first for whatever reason. And, chords and melody, all of that makes sense and falls into place almost fully, like before anything else. And then lyrics get forged, into that groundwork that's already been laid. And I spend a lot of time, like I read a lot of poetry and authors that I really admire, and I usually turn to books when I'm lost for like images and ideas and words. So yeah, the process usually goes like melody, chords, guitar parts or whatever, what have you, and then it's me just trying to like sew all of these lyrics together in the end and hope that they're decent. Because I care about lyrics the most, but they're the things that scare me the most also.
Yeah, well, lyrically, I mean, I really enjoy your lyrics on the album, and there's sort of these unexpected abstractions that come up, though, as you sort of, I guess, were explaining, and that's what makes, to me, I like lyrical content like that, where you're kind of following the story, and then all of a sudden, whoa, we're in the hospital or something else, is going on, and how do we get there? So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that kind of writing.
I mean, I love the power of, or I guess the possibility of not having to be completely articulate and literal the whole time. Like when I talk to people, it's impossible for me to be that way. So my songwriting is like, I think it can afford. I always enjoy ambiguity personally. I think there's a lot of that reflected in life anyway. So why not in
Right.
lyrics?
We should have done this whole interview with ambiguities and abstractions. It should just be like word association. You know? Cat,
Yeah, that's
cat.
good. That's a good like case study. We should try that next time.
Right, right. You've been nominated for 2 Grammys already in your short career. What's that experience like? Getting the news that you're nominated and thinking about the project that you did, the road leading up to it. What goes through your head? What's that whole experience like for you?
I mean, I think the first time it was this sort of shattering of what I thought was possible, and I think I just never thought that my music would be in that sort of an arena or considered that way. And so, I think I was a lot more mind blown and rose colored glasses about it and thought, like this is, I don't know why. I think my initial thought was like, this is what I have to work for. And because, in my mind, I thought Grammys were, the end all be all. And it's an incredible honor. But I think what I learned from the second time is like, be grateful for when these moments happen, because you're really out of control of when they do happen. And like that, it's not, you can't make music with the hope that you will be able to achieve that. Cause I think it's just ultimately it stunts the purity and the motivation behind what you're making. So I think I remain grateful and I guess mind blown when those things happen, but also try to keep my head above water in terms of keeping my focus straight and priorities straight as well, and the way that I make art and what I'm making it for.
I guess we were talking a little bit about it earlier, but Life According to Rachel is really an expansive, epic, cinematic tune with a very personal story behind it. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about this song? It's a beautiful song.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. I was set to write this record in 2020, and I don't know that anyone knew what it would be like to try and write music like when the world was ending. It's like this funny, like desperate and, like distraught place to be. And I felt like the whole time I was just running around like without a head, just not sure what to say or what to do or what my place was in it all. And when I lost my grandmother, who is Rachel, it completely just stilled me and brought me back down, I think, to earth in terms of being able to view my life with the correct priorities. And like it was like only a few things mattered in those like very painful weeks. And that was the most special place to be, because it's most of your life is trying to figure out what actually matters, because there's so much noise and chatter and you're just trying to break through it. And in those moments, it was so clear to me. So that song is about, I suppose, my regrets in losing her and like what I felt that I didn't do and what I could have maybe done. And I think what I learned from that is that, and from just talking to other people who have lost loved ones, is that there's not really a time in where you feel that you ever did enough when you lose someone, or that you ever said enough. So yeah, that song is sort of a tribute and a confession of sorts about her life and what she meant to me, and what losing her, meant to me also.
Right. Well, the arrangement and production on that tune is particularly beautiful. Also, you've got a lot of great strings. You really you went the whole distance with that number.
Yeah, we it's funny. We were out in El Paso, Texas at this studio called Sonic Ranch, and I recorded my first record there. And just went back out there in 2021 because I just had that same feeling of like, what is happening? I just felt lost and creatively barren. And I just went out there to play music with my friends, and this song ended up being appropriate for us to record it. And we didn't tell anyone that we were doing it. We just made it, and there were string players there and
Right.
and an arranger, and it all came together within like maybe 24 hours. And I don't know, I think it's maybe the thing that I'm maybe the most proud of in my life so far, just because I think it feels like it's a recording that is beyond me, and it was built, with community and friendship and all those things. And those are the key ingredients, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a bold statement, that song really represents for you I guess a pretty fully realized vision.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is a bold statement. I hope that there's more to be said than just that song. I hope it doesn't just end there, but I felt like it was the most honest that I had been able to be in writing a song. And that's I don't know, that's what I strive for and bleed for all the time. So
You've had a long partnership with Tyler Chester, and he's produced all of your albums. And how do the two of you work together in the studio? How can you give us a peek into that process of how you kind of work with each other? What he gets out of you, what you bring to him, and vice versa?
yeah, I've worked with Tyler since I was 16, and there's so much trust there. He records music unlike anyone else that I know. He's like, I always say to him, I'm like, you're kind of like the wind. You just blow in and you blow out, and you steer everything on its truest course. And I don't see many producers in this modern era of recording music who take it on like that, who are able to like let it mean so much and also let it go.
Right.
And I've modeled the way that I view making music off of the way he makes it, because it's I don't know, it seems like it's the healthiest, most vibrant and true version of it. And he taught me also a lot about like recording live, and like Rachel was live, that was a sort of single take song, and learning what it means to like have a relationship with your instrument and to sing, and to basically what it means to actually perform a song rather than just build it in stages and hope that it feels right. Because I think there's it's powerful when all those things are happening at once. So yeah, I think I don't know what I bring out in him, but that is what he brings out in me, is just this like fearlessness and this way of recording that's like not non-precious, but very, very thoughtful.
Right. Right. If you love something, set it free.
Exactly. That's all you can do.
You can do.
Way to bring it home. Way to bring it home.
That's right. That's right. You're often categorized in the folk and Americana genre descriptions, but then, you listen to a song like Your Hate Could Power a Train, and it's got these great grungy jazz influences indicating, you're so much more than how you're categorized. How do you feel about these genres and categories as they relate to your catalog and your career?
They always crack me up. But also, like, I admittedly don't have a genre that I'm like, no, I think I'm this, actually. Could you call
Which
me
is a good
this?
thing, which is a good thing, by the way.
Yeah, I think so too. I like to keep the door open in that way, because my mind is interested in so many different things. And I titles are just vehicles to get people to like trust you.
Right.
They're like, oh, Americana. Okay. Yeah, I know certain artists that are associated with that title. I can jump into this. So I see the purpose that they serve, but I ultimately kind of just laugh at them. But again, I don't think I have a better alternative to what I would call myself. I don't think I'm rock. I don't know that I'm alternative. I don't, I guess what I'm saying is I don't really care.
Right. Well,
I'm fine with
answered like a true artist, like a true musician. Who Are You Now might be my personal favorite on the album. What's the story behind that one? I love the guitar part on that too. How do you get that great thunky sound? It's really cool. Your tone.
It's actually this Los Angeles phenomenon called a rubber bridge guitar. So the actual, bridge is made of rubber, and
Oh,
it causes the strings to sort of cut off the notes. There's almost no sustain.
right.
A little bit like pizzicato or banjo or something. And there's flat wound strings on it as well. So it's this really, really automatically dark and thunky sort of sound that's just kind of cool on everything. A guy named Reuben Cox kind of coined it, invented it. So
Does Mike Viola,
uh,
do you know Mike Viola?
yeah, he's one of my dearest friends, and I mean ever. Actually, Mike is one of the people that really got me through making this record. I would go bring the songs to him.
Oh,
I would bring him to his porch, and we would sit and I'd play him, and then he would like give me edits and stuff. It was crazy. He's one of my favorite people on this planet.
I love
Seriously.
his writing. I love his album. He was a guest on the show a year and a half ago, something like that, with his last album, and he's a super talented guy. But I did feel that that guitar sound I had heard a little bit. It reminded me a little bit. I'll bet he does that. I'll bet he's got the rubber bridge, which I'd never heard of until just now.
100% on that song American Egypt.
Right, right. That's it.
That's the rubber bridge. Exactly. Good ear.
We found the
Yeah.
rubber bridge.
Yeah, the rubber bridge is just outing itself wherever it goes. It's like you know the sound once you hear it, and you won't be able to unhear it now.
Right. Absolutely. Well, you've got a great tune. So anyway, you were answering my initial question. You know, just that song. I love that song. Who are you now?
Thank you. Yeah, well, that was the title of my last record, and the title for my last record came from a song that was unfinished called Who Is She Now? And then during the pandemic times, that song came around and kind of retransformed itself into what is the song that's now called Who Are You Now on the record. And it's sort of about this uh, falling out, separation of ways with a friend that I had, and it's me sort of having this conversation with them that I didn't necessarily get to have in real life, but like I was able to lay out sort of in the song.
Right. Right.
Um,
Do you have on this record? Do you have a favorite tune that you really love? I know they're like that you love them all, but if you had to pick maybe one or two.
I think the sleeper track that means so much to me because it talks a lot about my sisters. I'm the oldest of five girls.
Wow.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say next, my poor dad, he
I wasn't even thinking that.
putting words in your mouth.
Yes.
Um,
When you were saying that, I was saying, "Oh boy, what is she going to say that I'm going to say?" 'Cause I wasn't going to say anything.
you're like, you don't know me. So yeah, it's called Sunshine Over the Counter, and it it talks about sort of just me and my sisters growing up, and I don't know that I've ever spoken about that in a song, and so that one means a lot to me. I think that might be one of my favorites.
How did
I
they
don't
like
know.
that song? Did they respond to that song? Did they know that that's about them?
They do. It's really sweet. We all cry about it together sometimes because it's one of those things where like once you like kind of let that door open and you talk about something personal like that, I think it can go one of two ways. Either it's like there's a lot of offense taken to it, or it's this very bonding and healing moment. And I think it was the latter for us. It was sweet.
Yeah, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, right?
Yeah, wow, I'm gonna use that one. Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Um, well, I mean, you're 25 years old. Is that correct? Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been nominated for 2 Grammys. You're making music that's absolutely astonishing. I don't think I had a bank account when I was 25 years old. And I think about I don't know why it hit me when I was listening to your reading your story, but I think about early videos of Ringo Starr in the Beatles, and the reporters are saying, what are you going to do after the Beatles? And he's like, well, I'm going to open a hair salon. He had these plans. He didn't think the Beatles were going to last more than 6 months. But how do you, at this age that you are, how do you look ahead to your career? Obviously, it's impossible to look into the future, but where do you hope your career and music lead you?
Man, I guess just I hope it lasts as long as it possibly can. I would love to be doing this and having these conversations well into my 50s and 60s. I love music. I love lyrics. I love all the things that encompass what music does for people. I think it's like a form of medicine,
Right.
and to be able to have a hand in it or lend a voice to it for as long as I can. That's the goal. It's like I think I've reconciled what it would look like to be, I guess, in music in different levels of that. And I just want to be doing it. I just want to be able to do it. That's kind of it. And it's as simple and as complicated as that. And my hopes and desires around it are constantly shifting and reevaluating. And I have to check what it is that I want and ask for the things that I want, and then be okay with, having them or not. But yeah, I plan on playing guitar for the rest of my life. I plan on opening a bulldog farm one day. I plan on, I don't know, maybe getting my pilot's license. Who knows?
I like
I would
that.
love
Well, I hope that I hope maybe we can envision, talking about your 14th album together. We'll both be a little grayer and older, and we'll say, "Remember when we did that interview all those years ago?"
That's what I would love more than anything.
We've
I
got
really
something to look forward to. So
see you in 20
I'm
years.
sorry. What was that? Say that again.
I'll see you in 20 years.
That's it. Um, so you're coming to New York City. We're here in New Jersey. I'm here in New Jersey, but this will be on the radio in New Jersey and New York City. Do you know where you're playing? You know where you're going in New York City? It's early September, yeah, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're gonna be playing at Webster Hall.
Oh,
And
exciting!
I believe, oh, so I'm opening for a band called Mount Joy in September. But in October I do a headline show in New York at Webster Hall.
Okay,
So
cool, cool. Webster
yeah.
Hall's great. I saw. I haven't been there a long time. I saw Dawes there. Last time I was there, I saw Dawes.
Oh, they're my buddies. They're the best. The best humans and musicians in the world.
Great band, and also a little Mike Viola influence there too, right? He was
Yeah,
working.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's so incestuous. We all hang out and make music together. It's like this fun LA sort of circle of friends and music.
very cool. Well, what would you like to? Anything else you want to tell folks? Anything you want to tell them to go to? Websites or whatever, what have you? Buy the new record.
Buy the new record and come to the shows. We would love it. I'm almost guaranteed we're coming to a city near you. We're going to be out there for 4 weeks. So yeah, please come to shows. That's all I would say. That means the most.
Well, very good. Listen, I really appreciate your time today. I think it's a beautiful record that you made. It's a very strong record. Every track is great, and I wish you the best of luck, and hope to keep in touch and talk to you again in the future.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you, Evan.
You too. Be well. Be careful out there.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.